Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well and having a really great week so far. If you're new here, then welcome. I'm Emma and I make beauty and lifestyle videos here on YouTube. Today's video is an autumn makeup get ready with me, and I'm going to be using the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I know that a lot of you will already have this palette because it's so popular, but it's a new palette for me. I actually bought it in the summer, but I'm really excited to try some of these shades out, and if you'd like to see how I achieve this makeup look, then keep on watching. As the weather's starting to get a bit colder here now, the first thing I'm going to do is apply the Clinique Moisture Surge Lip Treatment, and this is just going to put a bit of moisture back into my lips. My skin is dry combination and I find that I'm quite oily through the T-zone, but all the other areas of my face can be quite dry. So to help with this, I'm going to be using two primers today. The first being the Porefessional Matte Rescue, and I'm going to use this through the T-zone. And to help with the dry areas, I'm going to be using the Laurent Mercier Pure Canvas Hydrating Primer. So I'm going to apply the Hydrating Primer first, and I'm just doing that with my fingers. And I'm just avoiding the T-zone when I'm applying this. And I'm just making sure that that's evenly distributed over the skin. I'm then going to take a little bit of the Matte Rescue Primer, and I'm just putting this in the areas that I think I need it, which would be the forehead, on my nose and the sides of my nose, just in the areas that I tend to get a bit oily. Because your skin can tend to look a bit dull in the autumn and winter months, I'm going to be using the MAC Strobe cream in the shade Pinklite just to bring a bit of luminosity back. And I'm just applying this to the cheekbones and the higher points of my face. And this is going to look really nice under my foundation. To help brighten the darker areas around my eyes and make them look a little bit more awake, I'm going to use the MAC Prep and Prime highlighter pen in the shade Radiant Rose. And I'm just going to apply that using a fluffy brush. And we're just going to make sure that that's really well blended. And I'm just patting that so it melts into the skin. You can see that I've got a lot of redness in my skin, and I'm going to colour correct that using a green colour corrector. This one is the Skin Tone Face Base from Kiko, and this is a great product. So this is a green corrector. It looks green on the brush, and when you apply it to the skin, you just want to make sure that you're completely blending that out. It should not look green on the skin at all, otherwise the green will show through under the foundation. And I'm just blending that only on the areas that have redness. So now I've zoomed you back out, you can see that this side of my face that I've colour corrected is looking a lot more neutral, whereas you can still see the red pigment in my cheeks on this side and in my forehead. So I'm just going to colour correct the rest of my face, and then we'll get started with some foundation. For foundation today, I'm using the Estée Lauder Double Wear in the shade 2C3 Fresco. If you want a long wearing full coverage foundation that just does not budge, then this is the one for you. It's been a long time favourite in my makeup bag. And I'm just applying this with the IT Cosmetics Love Is The Foundation brush. And just buffing it into the skin. And just look how full coverage that is. This truly is a really beautiful foundation. I've worn it to work in the daytime, I've worn it on nights out in the evening, and it's just never let me down. So although this is a full coverage matte foundation, there is no reason at all for this to make your skin look cakey and flat. You can see that my skin still looks like skin, but it's given me that coverage that I need, and it's also evened out my skin tone. For concealer, I'm using the MAC Pro Longwear in the shade NW20. This is a full coverage concealer, so I think it's going to work well with the foundation, and it's just going to give me that extra bit of coverage that I need, especially under my eyes. So I'm just applying this under my eyes, blending it out with the brush, and I'm just tapping it into the skin just to help that product melt into the skin. And with the excess on my brush, I'm just going to fill in these little bits around my nose, because sometimes I can lose coverage here. And I'm just buffing that into the skin. For powder, I'm using the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, and this is just going to work really well with the foundation. Because we've got a full coverage foundation and concealer, I don't want to use a really heavy powder because that could make it look cakey. I just want to have something light to set the foundation, and this one is perfect. And I'm just tapping that into the skin with a large powder brush. This one is from Spectrum. For bronzer, I'm using the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in the shade Golden Light, and this is an old favourite of mine. It's a really lovely matte bronzer, and I think that especially if you have a fair complexion like me, it just gives you a nice sun-kissed glow without making you look orange. I'm just going to dust this very lightly on the high points of my face and into my temples. And I always think with bronzer it's best to start with a small amount on your brush, because you can always build up and add more product later. And I like to use quite a big brush just to disperse that product and give more of an airbrushed appearance. Just also going to put a bit across my nose and my cheeks. I'm not contouring with this, I just want to put a bit of warmth back into my complexion. For brows today, I'm using the Benefit Brow in the shade 3, and I'm going to apply that using the brush that comes with it. So before I start with the brow, I just like to give my brows a good brush through with a spoolie, just to sort of get the shape mapped that I want to follow. And I like to start by going underneath the brow first, and I'm just using very, very light strokes. And then I'm taking that down into the tail of the brow. And I'm just overdrawing it slightly just to give that tail a little bit more thickness, so it's more balanced with the start of the brow. And with the excess, you can then move forward to the front of the brow and just do some natural strokes. What you don't want to have is a very harsh line here at the start, because that's what's going to make it look artificial. And just again, use your spoolie to brush that product through the brow, just to disperse it. And to finish the brows, I'm just going to brush through some of the Benefit 24-hour brow set. This is a clear brow gel, but this is going to keep the hairs in place all day. And I'm just going to give that a comb through and position the hair exactly where I want it to be. I do like the colour of my eyebrows to be a little bit darker than they are naturally, and I think this shade does match the roots of my hair much better. To prime my eyes, I'm just going to be using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and I'm just going to apply this with my finger. And I'm just tapping that onto the lid and blending it out. I just want a nice smooth layer, and this will get rid of any discolouring in the lid. If you have any veins or darkness, this will cover up and literally give you a nice blank canvas to apply your eyeshadow. And I'm just going to set that with just some of the Laurent Mercier translucent setting powder that we used earlier. And I'm just applying that using a large fluffy brush. This one is a Morphe 441. For eyeshadow, I'm using the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this palette just screams autumn to me. I love all of the oranges, reds, browns. It just seems to be the perfect palette for this time of year. And I'm going to start by taking the shade Burnt Orange all the way through the crease as a transition colour. These matte shades are just so easy to blend. They're so soft and pigmented. But they blend out so easily. Next I'm going to take this shade here through the crease. Just look how gorgeous that orange is. It just reminds me of autumn leaves. Just taking a little bit of the translucent powder at the top here just to blend through and soften that edge. I'm also taking that same shade underneath the eye and just blending that out. Because I want to do quite a dramatic sort of grungy eye look. I'm then taking the shade Cypress Umber just into the outer corner. And actually I might make this a halo eye and just take that also into the inner corner. And also take a little bit down onto the lower lash line, about a third of the way across. And we're just going to blend that darker shade out into the other shadows. And I'm just going to take some of this shade here onto the middle of the lid. And this is just going to soften the eye a little bit and bring some light back into the look. And I'm also going to take a bit of that same shade onto the lower lash line just to balance the eyes up. As I've gone with quite a strong eye look today, I think I also need a strong liner and lash to balance it out. For liner, I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Gel Liner in the shade Black Ink. So to do the wing, I'm going to be using the Benefit Roller Liner, and this is in black. And I'm also going to line my waterline with this eyeliner from YSL. For mascara, I'm using the MAC Extreme Dimension 3D Lash Mascara in black. For lips today, I'm going to be using one of my favourite MAC lip combos, and that is my much loved Subculture lip pencil with Creme de Nude. For blush today, I'm using MAC's Gingerly, and this is a fantastic colour. It suits so many skin tones. Whenever you're looking for a blush and you're thinking to yourself, this looks too pink or this looks too peach, then this one is probably the shade that you're looking for. So just applying that to the cheeks and blending it into the bronzer. For highlight today, I'm using the Nicole Guerrero highlighter palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm going to be using the shade Glow Getter, which is this one in the middle here. Wow, that is a stunning highlight. And I'm just applying it with the ABH A23 brush. Just look how blinding that highlighter is, that is stunning. Just finishing with a little bit on my nose and above the Cupid's bow. I'm just going to throw on a lash off camera and then I'll be back to talk to you about the finished look. Lashes are now applied, and just to finish the look I'm going to set the face with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. I really like the finished makeup look, and it's definitely giving me autumn vibes. The lashes that I've used today are the Ardell X Ellis Atlantis lashes. They're quite dramatic and spiky, but I do think that they've just really pulled the whole look together and they really complement the rest of the makeup. I've loved experimenting with the Modern Renaissance palette, and I can certainly see why it's been so popular. The shadows are so creamy, so pigmented, and they blend on the eye and with each other so easily. I absolutely understand the hype. That's everything for today's video, guys. I really hope that you've enjoyed this get ready with me. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one.